1980 is a strange year in music. On paper, it's the start of a new decade, but in the air, you can still feel the warmth of the 70s hanging on. The tape hiss, the softer arrangements, the way songs took their time instead of rushing for the hook. In this video, we're not chasing the loudest rock anthem or the biggest stadium chorus. We're going after songs that still stop you in your tracks, make you stare out a window and whisper, "God, where did the time go?" This is top 5 songs of 1980 that make you miss the past. And don't worry, by the end, you might find yourself reaching for an old photo album, or at least adding a few new instant nostalgia songs to your playlist. Number 5, Sailing, Christopher Cross. Sailing is one of those songs you think you don't care about, until it comes on and suddenly the whole room feels softer. Released as a single in 1980 from Christopher Cross's self-titled debut album, it turned this unknown singer-songwriter into a star almost overnight, helping him sweep the Grammys with wins like Record of the Year and Song of the Year.
Well, it's not far down to paradise, at least it's not for me.
On the surface, it's simple. A slow, gentle soft rock ballad with that unmistakable yacht rock sheen. But listen closely and you hear how carefully it's built. The clean guitar lines, the glassy electric piano, the way the drums barely tap the surface instead of pounding through it. Every sound feels like it's been sanded down until there are no sharp edges left, just a calm sea for his voice to float on.
Oh, the canvas can do miracles.
There's also a personal story behind that calm. Cross has talked about how sailing came from a real sense of escape, from the feeling of leaving problems on the shore and finding a little piece of peace out on the water. You can hear that in the way the chorus opens up, like the moment the boat clears the harbor and suddenly there's nothing but horizon. The song became a kind of emotional shortcut for people. For some, it's late evening drives by the ocean, the sky turning purple while the radio quietly does its thing. For others, it's the soundtrack to childhood, playing in the background while parents clean the house, cook dinner, or just tried to unwind after a long day.
Sailing takes me away to where I'm away.
Even if you never stepped on a boat in your life, sailing tricks your brain into feeling like you did. It makes you miss a slower version of life where you actually had space to think, breathe, and feel something without a screen in front of your face. It doesn't just make you miss the past. It makes you miss the idea that life could be that quiet again. Number 4, Lost in Love, Air Supply. There's something disarming about Lost in Love. It doesn't swagger, it doesn't try to sound tough. It just walks straight into the room with its heart wide open, the way only an early 80s soft rock ballad dares to do.
So lift your eyes if you feel you can.
Written by Graham Russell, the song first appeared in 1979 on Air Supply's Australian album Life Support, in a more stripped-back version. But when it was re-recorded and released in 1980 on the album Lost in Love, with a cleaner, radio-ready production, everything changed. The single shot up to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and hit number 1 on the Adult Contemporary chart, turning this once small Australian act into a global soft rock force. The turning point came when Clive Davis, the legendary label head, heard the original version and decided there was something huge hiding in that gentle love song. He signed the band to Arista Records, smoothed the production, and pushed it across American radio. And suddenly, this mellow, almost shy-sounding duo were filling the airwaves in cars, diners, and bedroom radios all over the US. What makes the song stick isn't complexity, it's vulnerability. The lyrics feel like late-night honesty, the kind of thing you only admit when everyone else has gone home and the lights are low. Russell Hitchcock's voice has that trembling, slightly fragile tone, like he's not just singing a story, he's still dealing with it. For a lot of people, Lost in Love is tied to very specific memories. Maybe it was a slow dance under bad fluorescent lights at a school gym, or the song that came on right after a tough breakup. when you didn't know whether to turn it off or turn it up. Most love songs are background noise. This is one of those rare ones that sneaks in and sits beside you, reminding you of the time in your life when you truly believed love could fix everything. Even if now you're not so sure. That's why it hurts a little, in the best way, every time it plays. Number 3, Fool in the Rain, Led Zeppelin. Fool in the Rain is proof that even the biggest, heaviest bands have a soft, confused, completely human side. This isn't Led Zeppelin shaking the walls with a giant riff. It's the sound of a band at the end of its story, playing something playful on the surface, but quietly emotional underneath.
Well, there's a light in your eye that keeps shining, like a star that can...
The song appears on In Through the Outdoor, recorded in 1978 and released in 1979, and it went on to become Zeppelin's final US single, landing at number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1980. By then, the wild 70s were over, the band was tired, and everything around them was starting to shift. Yet here they were, dropping this strange mix of piano-driven rock, samba rhythms, and heartbreak. Musically, it leans heavily on John Paul Jones's bright, bouncy piano groove and John Bonham's inventive drumming. That middle section, the one that suddenly explodes into a carnival-like samba break, was inspired by South American rhythms, reportedly tied to the 1978 World Cup in Argentina. It drops you into a completely different world for a moment, before pulling you back out into that same rainy street. Lyrically, it's painfully relatable. The narrator stands on a corner in the rain, convinced he's been stood up. He builds his whole story in his head about being abandoned, forgotten, left behind, only to realize he's been waiting on the wrong street the whole time.
I see my dream, but I just don't see it.
It's almost comedic, but the way Robert Plant sings it turns it into something tender and raw. For a lot of fans, Fool in the Rain feels like the last warm snapshot of Zeppelin as a living band before tragedy closed the book. The song is full of color, whistles, odd rhythms, but the context around it makes it feel like a memory that's already fading as you watch. When that whistle blows and Bonham launches into the groove, it doesn't just make you move. It makes you think of a time when mistakes were smaller, when standing on the wrong corner in the rain was the biggest problem in your world. It taps into that feeling of missing the version of life where you still believed everything important could be fixed with one more chance and one more meeting. Number 2, Woman in Love, Barbra Streisand.
Life is a moment in space when the dream is gone.
Some songs don't just sit in the background, they take over the entire room. Woman in Love is one of those tracks that seemed to be everywhere in 1980. On radio, on TV, on vinyl in living rooms, echoing through houses on lazy Sunday afternoons.
I am a woman in love, and I do anything.
The song comes from Streisand's 1980 album Guilty, a collaboration with Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees at the height of his songwriting powers. Barry and Robin Gibb wrote Woman in Love, blending their instinct for sweeping pop melodies with Streisand's powerful theatrical voice. The result was a worldwide hit that topped charts in country after country and became one of her signature songs. From the first line, it doesn't hold back. It's a right I defend, over and over again. This isn't casual. This is love as a full-body commitment. The lyrics are intense, and the arrangement matches. Lush strings, rich keys, and a rhythm section that moves just enough to keep it flowing without ever breaking the mood. Streisand sings it like someone who understands that love isn't a movie, but still chooses to fight for it as if it were.
With you eternally mine, in love there.
There's no irony, no distance, no cool detachment. It's pure big screen romance poured into a pop song. That's exactly what makes it so nostalgic now. Modern love songs rarely let themselves be this open, this dramatic, this nakedly sincere. For people who were around then, Woman in Love is tied to powerful memory. Maybe it played while parents slow danced in the living room, or during the closing credits of a long day when everyone finally shut up and listened. Maybe it was that one song that came on just as a big argument cooled off, making the room feel a little softer.
It's a right
Even if you discovered it years later, it still feels like an old film, full of close-ups and long silences. It doesn't just make you miss 1980, it makes you miss a time when love songs were allowed to be this huge without anyone rolling their eyes. Number 1. The Winner Takes It All, ABBA. If there's one song here that can freeze time, it's this one. The Winner Takes It All doesn't just talk about heartbreak. It lays it out like a court case, with every line admitting how unfair it all feels when love ends and one person walks away with the future.
I don't wanna talk about things we've gone.
Released in 1980 on ABBA's album Super Trooper, the song was mainly written by Bjorn Ulvaeus, with music by Benny Andersson, and sung by Agnetha Feltskog, whose voice carries the whole thing like a confession. It climbed charts around the world and quickly became one of ABBA's most respected songs, even for people who usually dismiss them as just a pop group.
The winner takes it all. The loser has to fall.
Part of the impact comes from timing. By this point, the romantic partnerships inside ABBA were falling apart. Whether or not every line is literally about Bjorn and Agnetha's divorce, the emotion in her performance makes it impossible not to hear it that way. She sounds controlled, almost formal, but you can hear the cracks just beneath the surface. Musically, it's restrained. Mostly piano, gentle rhythms, carefully stacked harmonies. There's no big drum explosion, no wild guitar solo, no dramatic key change to force the tears. Instead, it builds like a steady argument with yourself, accepting that in this story, you're the one who lost and there's no way to rewrite the ending.
Tell me, does she kiss like I used to kiss?
The Winner Takes It All hits a very specific kind of nostalgia. It doesn't just make you think about an old relationship. It makes you think about the moment you realize life isn't always fair and feelings don't guarantee a happy ending. For some listeners, it's tied to divorce in the family, to nights when adults you thought were unshakable suddenly looked fragile. Even if you came to it years later, it has that strange power to pull you into a past you never lived, into rainy evenings, quiet kitchens, people trying to stay composed while something inside them quietly breaks.
The judges will decide the likes of me.
Out of all the songs on this list, this is the one that doesn't just make you miss the past. It makes you miss the version of yourself that still believed every story could end differently. For a little while, these 5 tracks let you forget where you are. They all come from the same place. When songs were softer, slower, and somehow felt more human than most of what blasts out today. You hear them, and for a few minutes, life feels simpler. No rush, no noise, just voices and stories that hit way closer than they should for songs that are just pop and soft rock. If even one of these pulled you out of your day and dropped you back into that softer world, or made you wish you'd lived it, tell your song in the comments. Which 1980 track makes you forget everything for a moment and just feel? And if you want more videos that do the same thing, that make the present disappear for a while and bring back that pure, simple feeling, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next trip back.